Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Wedding Shaming and it's by user Annabelle. I figured this also fits here and wanted to get some more opinions on if I'm an a-hole. My oldest sister, Elaine, 31 female, is getting married this month to her fiancé of 4 years, Steven, 35 male. I, 25 female, am the youngest of 4 sisters, although from my perspective, we have always been close growing up. Well, 5 months ago, Elaine asked our second sister, Gabriela, 29 female, to be her maid of honor, which is understandable because they have always been super close growing up. My third sister, Celia, 26 female, and I expected to be bridesmaids too. However, Elaine decided to include Steven's daughters, Tiffany, 12 female, and Sasha, 8 female, in the bridal party instead. We were obviously a little upset about it, but understood that it was our sister's special day. Well, anyway, 2 months later, I was visiting our mom while Elaine and Gabriela were also visiting. I overheard them planning the wedding and decided to ask about the wedding colors since I was and am still super excited for my sister to get married. Elaine told me she was thinking of something bespoke and non-traditional for her wedding dress, which I thought was cool and totally her style. Though I still assumed the color of the dress would be white, but had no way of checking since I wasn't a bridesmaid and any texts I sent to Gabriela were ignored because it's supposed to be a surprise. 2 months ago, I picked out a yellow dress online as I thought it was a safe bet color-wise. Before I bought the dress, I sent a picture to Gabriela, who once again left me on red. I asked Celia if she thought the dress was okay, and she agreed that since it's not floor length, it should be okay to wear to Elaine's wedding. The dress is a light yellow, knee-length, plain asymmetrical dress, and it was finally delivered last week. After it was delivered, I sent pictures to everyone, and then Elaine freaked out at me. She called me 7 times while I was at work. When I finally picked up, she yelled at me about how I was an awful sister and was stealing my new niece's spotlight at her wedding. Apparently, Tiffany and Sasha were supposed to be the only ones wearing yellow because Elaine wanted them to feel special. I told Elaine that if I ordered another dress, it wouldn't arrive on time, to which she told me to go to a bridal store and buy a different dress. I told her that I had already spent $50 on a new dress for her wedding and that I wasn't going to spend another $200 on a fancy bridal store dress. Elaine called me selfish and told me not to attend her wedding if I didn't change my dress last minute. Everyone in our family is saying I'm an a-hole for wanting to take away attention from 2 little girls on their dad's wedding day and that I should suck it up for my sister. So, am I the a-hole? OP, not the a-hole. You sent a picture of your dress before buying it to the maid of honor and she saw it. She left you on red. They could have easily said, hey, that's a nice dress. Can you get it in any other color other than yellow and these other ones? And then give you a list of colors to avoid. But no, they waited until you had it and shared it with everyone to make us stink about it. Honestly, OP, the way you've told us she's behaved sounds absolutely like a Bridezilla, but I also kind of get the impression that your sister doesn't like you. I mean, your older sisters don't like you. I don't know if it's just you or you and Celia. Honestly, and I know this may sound a bit out there, but I get the impression that for some strange reason, Elaine used her wedding to set you up. To this, my only question would be, is there any reason that Elaine and Gabriela dislike you? Did they behave similarly to Celia? Again, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole, but I find the whole drama they're making really suspicious. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what their judgment was. CL Pond says, you are absolutely correct in the discussion. However, if you want to smooth the waters for the sake of family peace or the high ground, I'd recommend shopping for a dress in person at used stores and or discountish stores. Marshalls, TJ Maxx, or Target. You should be able to find something adequate that doesn't break the bank. Especially if being discounted by your sister is a running pattern, you don't need to take the high road. It's all just about what type of relationship you have or want to have with her. And OP responds, some people already suggested this on Am I the A-hole? As I explained there, I've offered to go to Goodwill or wear an old homecoming dress, but Elaine thinks both of these options are unacceptable because she wants a black tie wedding where everyone buys new outfits just to attend her wedding. Cathal, my PayPal, says, not the a-hole, sorry, but in what universe is a 25-year-old woman taking the spotlight away from an 8 and a 12-year-old? Because they're wearing the same colored dress? That's beyond Bridezilla to me. Newsflash for your sister, no one cares. They know you're the bride. They know who the girls are, but guaranteed it doesn't go any further than that. Is your sister also demanding that all the other guests refrain from wearing yellow? If your sister and or your parents feel strongly about it, let them front you the money for the more expensive dress. Listen to sister, read and respond to your messages. And OP responds, I'm not sure about the other guests, but the invitations didn't mention yellow, just please don't wear white. Jersey Girl 1105 says, not the a-hole. You gave everyone a heads up and asked for wedding colors. If your sisters choose to ignore all your attempts to clarify what color to stay away from, that's totally on them. What I don't understand is how anyone can think otherwise. Unless there's a piece of the story missing, you've done more than most people would do when choosing an approved dress. So how can anyone say you're selfish? I wouldn't want to go down in history as the sister who missed the wedding over a dress, since no one would ever hear the real story and who knows how you'll feel in 10 years from now. I'd tell all those who say you're selfish that they either need to help to pay for a last-minute dress or expect to see you in yellow. No matter what happens, once the wedding is over, I'd severely limit contact with those two sisters. Remain cordial and polite, but I'd no longer consider them friends. Additional information from OP's comments. Our mom thinks I'm being petty and selfish and that I should just let this go for my sister's wedding. I'd also probably get yelled at for even suggesting that our mom pays for my dress. Now, I've already had a big argument with Elaine over why Gabriela didn't say anything considering I sent her the picture, but according to the family, I'm still the a-hole for asking because I ruined Elaine's surprise. And it's not just my parents, it's even the extended family. Our grandparents think it's a small thing to find a dress at the last minute with a few days to go. Our mom's brother thinks I'm being cheap to not fork out $200 on a new dress. And our cousins have been spamming me non-stop with pictures of bridal store dresses. Now, I have to say about Elaine that she has always been kinda controlling about my clothes. When I was 18, she wanted to pick out my homecoming dress because I'll never have another chance to dress up my younger sisters, in her words. And then she apparently forgets to invite me and Celia to her bachelorette party, yet our mom and Gabriela were both there. And just as a side note, the craziest thing is our mom bought a floor-length white dress and Elaine is fine with it. Anyway, I'll probably let Elaine pick between the yellow dress and the homecoming dress, but I know I'm going to get a lot of crap from the family who think I should just wear whatever Elaine says. But I have to do something. My family would never let me live it down if I missed my sister's wedding. OP's edit. As so many kind people have pointed out, yes, I could go to Goodwill and find another dress. I have already suggested this to Elaine, but she rejected that idea because this is my wedding, not a Walmart. I also offered to wear an old homecoming dress, which is pink. This also wasn't good enough for Elaine because Gabriela is wearing pink, and Elaine didn't want me to be dressed exactly like Gabriela, even though Celia is also wearing a similar pink dress. I could go to Goodwill in my spare time, but Elaine has said that she wants to pick out the dress so I don't ruin her wedding. As for dyeing the yellow dress, I don't want to spend $50 on fabric dye only to have it go wrong and then be down $100 with no dress to wear to my sister's wedding. So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole. She did send the picture beforehand, so yeah, it's not on her. Now, OP did share with us the picture of the dress that she wanted to wear, and here it is. Alright, and now it's time to move on to the update, but of course before that I'll show you another one of my playlists that has only stories with updates on them. And now we move on to the update. Elaine's wedding was this past week, and as many people suggested, I wore my old homecoming dress, which was a pink knee-length dress. In the days leading up to the wedding, my mom and Elaine called me non-stop to tell me that if I wore a yellow dress I would not be allowed into the wedding venue and that Elaine should be the one to pick my dress from a bridal shop. As many people suggested, I told Elaine that if she wanted to pick my dress, she could pay for it. Elaine became extremely annoyed with me for my response, as it was disrespectful to her personally and as a bride, and that I should be more understanding about how expensive weddings are. I just reminded her that she was the one who wanted a large black tie wedding and that no one forced her to be so controlling over colors and outfits. Elaine then proceeded to block me via text, but clearly told our family what I said because I continued to receive texts from our mom and Gabriela, who told me I was rude and that wedding planning is stressful and I should be more accommodating. I told my mother and Gabriela that if Elaine wanted to be so controlling about my dress, then she could pay for it, or I would wear my old homecoming dress. That shut both my mom and Gabriela up, and I didn't hear anything else about the topic of dresses from them until the morning of Elaine's wedding. On the day of Elaine's wedding, I waited for 10 minutes while my mother refused to send me the directions to the wedding venue because she didn't know how. Eventually, I gave up on my mom and asked Celia to send the directions instead because clearly our mom wanted me to miss the wedding. At this point, I was considering not attending the wedding at all, but I figured if I attended that my family couldn't say that I lacked effort or was being petty towards my sister. When I arrived at the wedding venue, most of the guests were already there. As I said, Elaine planned to have 100 people at her wedding, and since she hadn't specified that no one should wear yellow, there were at least 10 people present dressed in yellow, one of whom was Steven's mother. Well, anyway, the real drama started when the rest of our extended family arrived at the wedding. My mother's brother began talking to me and said that he was glad I managed to get a new dress and that yellow wasn't my color anyway. So I asked him if he thought that it was appropriate for his sister, my mother, to wear white to her own daughter's wedding, to which he didn't reply. I got a lot of dirty looks from other family members and mean comments about how cheap I was and how much audacity I had to ask the bride to pay for my dress. At that point, I figured I could suck it up for a few more hours just to see Elaine get married and that I could then drop off the wedding gift at the reception. Well, at the wedding reception, Elaine came up to me and pulled me aside. She told me that since she didn't think I would come to the wedding, that she had canceled my meal and that I owed her $110 if I wanted to eat at her wedding, since it cost her $110 per head to book. I asked her why she had anticipated her own sister not attending her wedding, and she made out like it was my fault. I told her that I didn't have to deal with this, and that if this was how she wanted to be, then she could consider herself no longer my sister. I left Elaine's wedding immediately and took my gift with me, just a bottle of wine and a card. My family has texted me non-stop about how petty and jealous I am of Elaine, etc, etc. So Reddit was right. My sister was trying to exclude me from her wedding. Thanks for that. I will now be going no contact with Elaine and my mother for their favoritism. Extended from OP's comments. Growing up, family members would tell our parents that Elaine was the prettiest and that she would find a successful husband and have a bright future because of how pretty she was. She used to do child pageants. I think this whole issue was about more than the dress. At the end of the day, when the issue about the dress was fixed, our mom still tried to prevent me from attending Elaine's wedding. Clearly, she doesn't want or need me in her life, and I don't need to keep making an effort for people who don't value me or treat me like a person. I honestly thought we were close growing up. Sure, my older sisters would do stuff on their own, but I figured that was just because they wanted time to themselves, not because they were purposely trying to exclude me from their lives. Celia thinks I'm right to cut contact with Elaine after the way she spoke to me at the wedding and the way she treated me over the whole yellow dress issue. Gabriela hasn't tried to reach out, so I have no idea how she feels. Well, OP, it's a sucky update because of how you were treated, but it's a positive update because, well, you just shed a lot of dead weight. I honestly don't understand people like Elaine and your mom, they're just weird to me. But it doesn't really matter anymore. You're on a better path now, OP. So thank you so much for sharing and all the best in the future. Now let's move on to a mood booster post to finish this video. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user How Am I Still Alive 25. Stay in a receptionist's place? Okay. I worked the front desk at an optical store for 2 years. I had no experience and knew nothing about eye health when I started. Over time, I learned to do contact lens training, how to work the machine for glaucoma testing, visual field testing, and how to adjust glasses, and a little bit about sales. Now, there was a fire and we had to relocate, which brought on a lot of stress to the boss lady. We'll call her ma'am. We ended up losing our tech who did the contact lens training and visual fields, and our lead optician. Being the type of person who doesn't like to see others struggle, I always offered to help whenever I could, especially if the patient was nice. When we reopened, ma'am's husband came to work at the office as manager, which at the time I thought was nice because I'm sure she needed the extra support. We'll call him Sir. He knew nothing about optical, so he was also training while managing. The problem started on opening day between Sir and me. He wanted to play meditation music and forest sounds, everyone else wanted general pop and regular music. Since I had access to the speaker, I would adjust it for them. He loved the new space and I missed the old space, but never spoke badly about the new one. If the office was busy and a pair of glasses needed to be adjusted, I'd offer or be asked to help. And in front of the patient, he'd yell, "Do you know what you're doing?" One time I turned to him and said, "I've been doing it longer than you." I'm sure he didn't like that, lol. We had a meeting where he had no bad comments about my work but told me I make him want to leave, lol. He would report every word and minor mistake I made to ma'am, and she would send me random texts about them outside of work hours. I never got in trouble for anything, but it was annoying as F. Anyway, on one particular day I was doing mostly contact lens training and a patient called about a contact lens being stuck in her eye. These were considered emergencies, so I told her to come in and see the doctor, ma'am. When the patient came in, she looked really uncomfortable and asked how long until she was seen. I offered to take a look until she could see the doctor. When I took her to the back, I tried taking out the lens and couldn't find anything. I told her this, and she looked discouraged. I said to her, "I don't see or feel anything, so you'd be better off waiting for the doctor, and that ain't me." She laughed it off. I told her I'd been doing training all day and was hoping to help her and apologized. She said it was okay and sat in the front. Apparently, she went into the room and ma'am told her there were no contact in her eyes. The patient said that the nurse told her there was a lens in her eye and she wanted ma'am to double check. Ma'am was really upset about this because she had to spend extra time explaining to the patient that I was nothing more than a receptionist. When she came out, she made sure to berate me in front of the patient and my co-workers. I just nodded and apologized. Even after work, she pulled me aside to ask what I said to the patient, and I told her every word. Still, she felt the need to tell me that I make her job harder by misinforming patients. She said I should just stay at a receptionist level and not help anyone because it causes trouble. I was shocked by how she spoke down to me and still believed that I told the patient I was a nurse and she had something in her eye. All I could muster up was, "Okay, I'm really sorry about that." After that day, I no longer did contact lens training, so now appointments are 4 to 5 weeks out instead of 1. I no longer assisted in visual field tests. I put them all on her schedule. Now, we don't have any availability for regular appointments until a month and a half later. I stopped offering to help opticians, so if one person was scheduled, all patients will have to wait for that one person for all adjustments, orders, and dispenses. That one had patients up their asses with complaints. Lol. If anyone had a question about anything unrelated to the front desk, I couldn't help them. Even when she would ask, I just told her I didn't feel comfortable doing anything outside of reception anymore. I eventually quit and now work somewhere with much higher pay and benefits. They've lost a total of 5 out of 11 employees in the span of 1 year, and I heard 2 more are quitting before the end of the year. Well, OP, apparently when you do help, it just causes trouble, so no sense in helping anybody anymore. Good on you. Thank you so much for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.